John,
Angie,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, and to our listeners.
Did you set any New Year's resolutions?
No, I prefer to do annual goal setting instead.
Yeah, same here. In fact, I wonder if our listeners might like to join us in that.
Well, I think they might. Hang on, let me ask them. Hello, listener. Would you like to join us for a session on high performance goal setting to get the year started right?
What do they say?
Let's see. Let's have a look. Yes. Hell yes. Get on with it. What's the best way to keep yourself entertained on long coach rides? Sorry, we're not that kind of coaching podcast. Yes. Okay, we'll take that as a green light.
Awesome. Let's get to it.
Let's do that.
Welcome to the Coaching Clinic with John and Angie, the show for professional coaches that explores the ins and outs of coaching, from working with clients through to running and marketing your coaching business.
If you're a professional coach who's committed to your own personal and professional growth, cares about making a difference, and wants to have a successful coaching business, you're in the right place.
My name's John Ball.
And I'm Angela Bezignano.
Between us, we have over 50 years of coaching experience and best practices to share with you. From getting started to scaling up your business.
We know what works and what doesn't, as well as what it really takes to have a successful and thriving coaching business.
With new episodes every Wednesday.
Make sure you're subscribed to get them fresh.
Yeah, so it's that time of the year. I know we're a little into the new month, the new year, but it's like the time everybody goes, let me get excited about these resolutions, which we've talked about. I'm not a big believer in a resolution. It doesn't work for me. And I think it doesn't work for most people.
I think one of the reasons why it probably doesn't work for most people is that most of us have had that experience of maybe creating those resolutions and probably not having them last more than a couple of days or a couple of weeks into the new year. And that's disheartening. Which is one of the reasons why it's better just not to do them. But I do think any sort of significant point in your life or in the year, and the new year is one of those, is a good opportunity to at least reevaluate your goals if you're already on your way with them, or if you haven't got clear goals set out for yourself right now, to start doing that and thinking about how you want the rest of the year to look.
Absolutely. I think creating awareness around what you want is important. I think it's just like any goal that you set for yourself. If you're going to take a journey, you're going to take a trip, there's a map. There's a way that you're going to get there. I always refer to an actual map because people get the visual. And I'm like, where's that red pin going? What is the goal? If you want to go from like New York to California, then put the pin in where you want to go, because you have to work that backwards. How are you really going to get there? I think resolutions become a little bit more pie in the sky. And I think, many of us, and you've probably experienced this personally or with clients, that a lot of their resolutions are the same ones year after year. Like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to go to the gym. And they don't work because there's no or little map process kind of a thing. So,
yeah, I think there's a lack of specificity to those kinds of things as well, which is a problem. I do regular group coaching, and one of the things that I notice comes up, that there's a big difference between the people on those coaching calls who have nice specific objectives that they want to hit and they're clear goals, and you would definitely know when you've hit that goal. And then there's people who have vague goals of, oh, I want to grow professionally. I think it's one I heard just this week. Or I want to, I just want to be more. I want to have more. I want to earn more money. These are not specific enough, really, to be that motivational. Like, how much more money do you really want to have? How much growth? What would that even look like? You do need to be able to ask yourself, how will I know when I have hit the goal that I want to hit? Or at least will be able to note a milestone or a point which shows me that I'm moving in the right direction.
Well, I think, first of all, I think we need that anyway. I think it's important for everybody to realize, even coaches for themselves, it's that those little dopamine hints are what keep you going. right? So it's easiest with weight loss, for example. If somebody
Yeah.
says, I want to lose 25 pounds, it's great to be like, all right, I want to lose it, but by when? Do you have did you assign something? Because I could say, well, I want to lose 25 pounds in the next 5 years. That changes the scope of how I'm going to approach it, right? That's
Yeah.
5 pounds a year, right? But if I'm going to lose 25 pounds in the next, just say 12 months, what does that then equate to? This way, I'm aware of what those little goals need to be along the way. And when I hit those goals, it is going to give me that boost I need to want to keep going, right? It's a little mini goal. And although somebody might prove, well, what's the difference? A pound is nothing. Pennies equals dollars. I don't equal dollars. I don't care what you say. 1 pound eventually, when you compound it over time, is going to turn into those 25 pounds. You're not losing 25 pounds overnight. It's not happening, right? Yeah. It's important
So let
to...
me ask you, Angie, when you're planning your year, because we both do this, we talked about it, which is why we wanted to do this episode. How do you start that process and what does it look like?
I definitely decipher between my personal and my professional goals, without a doubt, right? Some of my personal goals are very different than, and some of them cross over, but I literally think about, is there a need versus a want? And that's important because I have to figure out my why. Like, why
Yeah.
is this important? I don't just willy-nilly go, oh, I'm going to make $300,000 this year. Okay, but is there a reason for that? Why? Why do I want that? Versus why isn't it just 100,000? So I get very deep into, and you know this, I'm a big processor. I get big into my why so that I can actually decide whether that even should be a goal or not. Is something going to get in the way of my real priorities? So I do that first. And then when I write down like 3, I think sometimes we overburden ourselves with way too many goals. So I really break it down then to like the top 3 in each of those categories, the personal, the professional, and set them, right? Now I've got my why. Why is this important to me? And that there is necessity, because I'm not going to do anything without necessity being a component. And now then I can get into the how am I going to get there? So that's the baseline of where I begin.
Yeah, look, I look for where do I want to be around this time next year? What would I like to be different? What needs some work on? What are some of the things that maybe I need to stop doing? And what are some of the things that I need to start doing that are going to ultimately support me in these goals? And so I do think about it, at least initially, from that bigger perspective about the general journey that I'm on, the year ahead. And then I pull it back to the first quarter, because I don't think realistically we can plan too far beyond that. And I would think, okay, look at the first quarter, look at my, like yourself, I do this professionally and personally, look at my personal goals for the next quarter. What are the priorities? What are the things I really must focus on and that are important to me that I've decided I want this, I'm clear on why I want it. And then do the same with my professional goals as well. It makes it so much easier to start breaking stuff down, because then I use planners and stuff. Then I can start transposing that stuff into my planner and start looking at it from a monthly overview, and then from weekly overviews. Then it's much easier to figure out the day to day what needs to be happening day to get you to your end goal. And I love that, starting from the end backwards, work from the end backwards, reverse engineer the whole thing.
Yeah. And you know what? The other thing that I started to do, and this is in recent years, which is so funny because I've done this while consulting for companies, like what works, what doesn't. So I actually now will reflect on the year prior or 2 and say, you know, what are my habits? Like what really is working for me and what isn't? And that's just part of getting to know yourself as an individual. And in this case, for me, as a business owner. So for example, this is the first year that I have employed an assistant. And I just have to say, by the way, what a game changer that was for me. So anybody who already has an assistant might be like, hello, duh, welcome to the party. But it was something that I resisted because I'm the one-man band now. I didn't want to give up, not necessarily the control But I was like, I have the mindset. If I can do it myself, I should do it myself. And that was a mindset thing. So once I got past the mindset piece, I was like, let me ease into this. Let me do a couple of hours a week and let me see how it goes. No contracts. I don't want any of that. So I had to find something that made it okay so that I could have that exit strategy if it wasn't working. So guess what? You know this. I've said it to you for a couple of months now. Like, it's changed my love it. I'm like, why did I not? Because I didn't really know any better. And so what did I know about myself? I cannot stand administrative work. I hate it with a passion, and I'm never going to like it. I think I know that. My birthday's coming up at 56 years. I think I know I hate administrative work. And why not hire somebody who's much more proficient and isn't wasting time? And now I honestly, I'm going a little crazy with this, but I've been reborn in my business. Now I'm excited about my business again because I'm focusing on the things that I'm really good at. So that was me. That may not be somebody else's experience, but part of me being honest with myself was what am I really good at and where do I suck? And not that I suck at administration, but I don't love it. And it was way too time consuming and it made me not want to do a lot of things. And it left no room for creativity, I feel, or little room. We need to have those conversations with ourselves and be honest and say, what works, what doesn't, where am I great and where am I not so good? And how can I delegate?
I love what one of my business mentors says, which always stays in my mind, that as a business owner, as a coach and a business owner, your goal should be ultimately to hand off anything that is not your zone of genius to someone else, even if you can do it, even if you're okay at it or even good at it. There's probably someone you could hire who's actually, that is their zone of genius. And you're always going to be better off handing those things on, focusing on where your areas of genius are, the stuff that you need, stuff that you love doing and that you want to spend your time doing, and give the other things to someone else who can do them better than you.
Let's do
Free
something.
up your
Oh,
time.
John, I'm putting you in the hot seat right now. This might not even make it to the air.
Might cut this out.
You
Go on.
might. Don might cut this out completely. But so here's the thing. You know how to build a website.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. How long has your new website been taking you to build and get going and put out there? And
Several months.
3, 6, 9?
No, more 2.5 months. Ish. Since I actually bought the website and worked on the domain, it's more or less. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this, and this is just an honest question. If you had, because you know how to do it, right? If you had said to somebody, build my website, and these are the parameters, do you think that would have been published by now?
I'm going to say no. And the reason is the same reason that it's not published yet, although it very soon will be because you've been on my case about it. But that it was the content that needs to go in there, which I had to create. It had to come from me. So the brand statement, the products, all of those things, that had to be in there. Whether I created this or not, I still had to come up with that stuff. So putting it into the website took almost no time at all.
Right. No, but do you think that if you hired somebody, that there would have been a little more fire? Now I've hired somebody.
There might have
to get
been.
this done.
May well have been more urgency.
Right.
You're probably right about that. I probably would have given myself more urgency of like, I'm paying someone to do this. This is going to cost you money. Let's get this taken care of. And yeah, it's definitely one of the things that I do struggle with is creating urgency. And I need that. I need my deadlines. I need stuff to higher levels of accountability. And perhaps having given myself that on my website is true.
And this is a good thing. I love John to pieces. I'm not poking fun at him because there's things that I still need to, for as long as I've been coaching, Doesn't mean that I've got every single thing dialed in every minute. I'm still learning. As the world changes and the atmosphere around what we do changes, we have to change. When John and I became coaches, there was no not that there wasn't Google, but it certainly wasn't to where it is now. There's so many things that have changed. So we have to change along with it. Hence why John's even creating a new website. Bigger, better, stronger, faster. And the point of me bringing that up is that it's hard for us as professionals, especially as coaches, sometimes to be aware of what we really need as a business owner. And me throwing out that this is the first time I've ever had an assistant, I resisted it and resisted it. I tried finding people a couple of years ago. I didn't see the financial value, so I said no. And then revisited it, and bam, it's changed everything for me. It's brought me back to feeling like I'm falling in love with what I do all over again, because I'm not focused on, there's so much back end stuff. So yeah, John is great at back end stuff.
It's been said in many environments.
Sorry. So John is great at back end stuff, but that doesn't mean John should be doing it. Right? Because what is it costing him? So, we always think in terms like, I'm very financially aware. And I think that's another thing that might hold people back from maybe doing some of the things that they'd like to do and then say, no, I can just do this myself. What it's costing me financially is nothing compared to what it has cost me over years of time. There's just no comparison to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that derails us.
Yeah. It's easy to get stuck in stuff as well, for sure. I am very up for the idea of delegation, but there are probably a bunch of reasons why I didn't particularly want to do it with my website at this particular time, although I think maybe in a couple of years' time, when it's going to be time to revamp it again, I'm going to be getting someone else to do that because the content's going to be there and I'm not going to want to spend time on it. But yeah, it's easy to get lost in the weeds with our own goals, and we do have to have urgency, clarity, deadlines about what we're heading towards, and give those to ourselves. And give my own example about where I perhaps haven't been as effective as that recently myself as I would like to have been. Although I will say this, by the time this episode goes to air, the website will be there. You can go and have a look. The link's going to be in the show notes for you, presentinfluence.com. Go and check it out. It will be there. It won't be perfect, but it will be there.
And love that you just said that, right? Let's point that out to our listeners, that don't wait for things to be perfect before you promote. Now, I understand the whole premise of, hey, you only get one chance to make your first impression and all of that. But I think some people take that into Olympic event status. And I'm not saying John, I don't mean him. I just mean that I've worked with people that in any of their goals might have been like, well, and this is the reason, and that's the reason, or maybe I wanted to get one more little certification. And that's just your fear holding you back, right? Coming up with the next thing that sounds amazing, but all it is a distraction to either launching or diving into the new goals that you have for yourself. I'm always excited at the beginning of the year because although I think you and I talk about this constantly, we're always self-reflecting. We're always throwing things at each other and bouncing things off of each other. But I think historically it's become a little bit like, hey, it's the new year. What's going to happen?
I don't think you can really look forward without looking back as well. And so I think I did this with one of my coaching groups recently. And we had a call just around Christmas. We had another call around New Year. So the Christmas call, we did a review of the year and what were the goals and things that maybe didn't work out for you, and why didn't those things work out, to give yourself this clarity about what is maybe some of the things that, were they the wrong goals? Do you need to be focusing on other things? Or were there things that you just weren't doing or paying attention to that needed to be worked on, that are going to help you for whether these need to come back into your goals this year, back into your attention, or whether they're relevant to the new things that you may want to work on as well. I think that kind of reviewing is really helpful to know ourselves, to understand where we've been, and what maybe has stopped us or held us back from getting to where we might have hoped we could have got to. Not to
Yeah.
beat yourself up over it, which I think
No.
a lot of people, it's very easy to do, but to have awareness around, all right, yeah, I have maybe a realization that I didn't have enough accountability around this and didn't get this done, or lacked the urgency, or took on too many things, whatever it is for you, what has been blocking you from getting as far as you could have gotten, that you can learn
Yeah.
from and
Yeah.
improve on over the next year.
I think that reflection piece, I mentioned that earlier. I think it's really important. What worked? If you've had a goal, let's just say, and it's been a goal for the last 5 years, it keeps showing up because you're not getting it done. I think that's one of the big flashing neon lights, that signs that saying, should this even be a goal? Now, if it's health related, I usually say to people like, okay, nothing wrong with great health. Why are we not reaching the goal? But sometimes you have to say, should this even be on the radar? That's what I mentioned earlier
Yeah.
about, is that just
The
another
why.
distraction holding you back from other things that are true priorities? It's like, when anybody ever been on an interview and the person interviewing you says, where do you see yourself in 10 years or 5 years? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't yeah, I have a vision. And sometimes maybe if you have a very big, ambitious goal that you want to hit, and you know that it literally is something that you have to plan for a couple of years, and I've had some of those. Again, no matter how far out it may be, I'm sure there's going to be certain steps or requirements that are going to get you to that point.
Mm.
I still have to assign time to it. What are the steps year over year that have to take place? So it doesn't matter whether it's a short-term, quick goal, or if it is something that's longer term. Again, I'm a little leery of what do I want to do in 5 years at this point. But when I started out as a real coach and turned it into a real business for myself, I did have a really big vision. I did. Now, even as a speaker, it's funny how my vision has changed. I used to see myself on these little teeny tiny stages. And now when I envision it, I want those big old stages. I almost want to be like, where's Joel Osteen? I want that room. And who
The
knows,
Church of
someday
Angie.
what'd you say?
The Church of Angie. You have your own
I don't know
church
if you
somewhere.
want the Church of Angie, unless you want the express train to hell. I don't know about that. But anyway, I'm saying, like, my ambitions are changing. And my point is that if I see that, if I'm really daydreaming, that should actually be on my list. That should be something that I'm not just stuffing away and going, oh, please, when am I ever going to be? You're not going to hit that goal for sure. The answer is automatically no with that mindset. So sometimes it's even about just, how do I expand on what did work and make it even a little bit, the 1 degree or the 1% bigger than it was.
It's interesting. There's something that's come up in coaching calls before about this daydreaming kind of thing. There is a form of positive procrastination, and this is it, where you're dreaming about the future or what could be and what can be. It's not a bad thing to be doing. It's inspiring yourself. It's really positive. It's not really that you're doing it instead of stuff that you should be doing. You're doing it to create that picture for the future, to inspire yourself. I think often we do devalue that, the visualizations, the creating the images of it, the daydreaming about this, to being less important than just write it down and there it is. Why not have your vision boards? Are your thing? Get your vision board or write your goals down, but have them somewhere where you can see them and check in with them and re-inspire yourself with the things you're working on. Because one thing's true, I think it was Jim Rohn, motivation is like bathing. It doesn't last, so we recommend it daily. It's like, it won't last.
It was Rosen. I don't know if that was it, but anyway.
I think it's Jim Rohn. But yeah, motivation will not last. Stuff will take longer than you think it's going to take. Curveballs will get thrown at you. Life will get in the way. And even if you have a good why, life may stop you from achieving your goals if your why isn't as big and as strong as you can possibly make it for yourself. And so we need to have that. We need to check in with it and keep ourselves motivated and on track, and ideally accountable. And this is you're a coach listening to this. If you don't have your own coach, I know we've talked about this in an episode, you may not have heard it, but if you don't have your own coach, who are you being accountable to for the goals that you want to create here? Who's gonna give you the proverbial kick up the butt to get into action when you need it, or the encouragement or the cheerleading, if that's what you want? Who's going to do that for you if you don't have your own coach or coaches in your life?
That's a great point. That's a great point, because you might set a goal. We usually do, right? We set a goal for the year. This is what we'd like to see. This is what we're projecting. But you can't wait until November to see if you're on track to hit your goals by December. So accountability with somebody, an accountability partner or a coach, is, I think, super important. And at least if you have an annual goal, let's just say, and you break it down into quarterly goals, you need to check in on it every quarter, and maybe even every month, and say, am I on target to hit this quarterly goal that's going to bring me to the next? It is really that important to check in on that. You have to. Otherwise, you don't want to get caught with your pants down at the end of the year and say, oh, no, that didn't work.
1,000%. I'll say this. If you don't actually know what you need to be doing on a daily and weekly basis in order to hit these, you don't really have goals. You just have a bit of pie in the sky, a bit of, oh yeah, that'd be nice. These aren't really goals. You need to be able to know how you're going to achieve it and what you should be doing on a consistent basis, that you can even check in with yourself and say, am I doing this? If it's a relationship goal, are you doing your date nights? Are you having time to communicate and be intimate with each other? If it's a fitness goal, are you actually showing up and putting in the work, or joining the gym, or hiring the trainer that you said you were going to hire? Whatever it is. Same with your professional goals. Are you doing the prospecting? Are you publishing your website? Whatever it is that needs to be happening, get that stuff in place, and know what you need to be doing on a daily and weekly basis, and protect it. Protect your time around that, and or how much time do I need to be doing this? Am I working full days? What are the hours that you need to be put into doing this? And how are you going to make sure that you actually have the time to do those things that you've said are important and need to be prioritized above those other things?
I don't think that, you know what, that's so important to recognize that sometimes you're going to overestimate the time necessary to do certain tasks. So do it so that you can actually create a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Daily routine for yourself. You know what I mean? So for example, most experts, I'm not going to get into this whole thing, but most experts would say to you, you need 30 minutes of exercise a day, which is good for you. What we do, how we do it is a whole different thing. But somebody's already put that formula into place for us a bit. You need to figure out your own formula. You need to figure out what works for you. And this could be something. Some people are really hell-bent on, because of so many other influences, get out there, do everything first thing in the morning and do the hard stuff. I'm going to say this. Some people do not have that bandwidth in the morning, or that brain power. Some people literally are not morning people, right? And they can't. If you ask me to do my heavy thinking between 2 and 5, no, not a good look for me. I invest in
it wouldn't work for me either. I'm for brain power stuff. I'm best mid-morning, mid-afternoon. Those are my peak times. Although my idea generation seems to happen more closer to bedtime for some reason. I am that kind of person who'll be going to sleep and thinking stuff up. As I'm drifting off to sleep, that's the way my brain works. But to some degree, I would not generally describe myself as a morning person, but I can still do stuff in the mornings. I can still push myself to do something. It makes me think about this one thing of having these goals and moving forward with them is going to be hard, but not doing it and not getting the things that you really want to be, is going to be harder. So choose your difficult, choose, for want of a better phrase, choose your hard.
Yeah. I definitely agree. If something doesn't feel good, we avoid it. Our brain is like working against us in that space, because it's like, let me go do something I don't like. No, it doesn't feel good. It's danger. It's this, it's that. So we have to push through that. But is it hard, or is it out of the realm of things that we enjoy doing? Now, I'm not saying that life should be a party every minute of every day, because I do believe there are certain things that we need to push through and get to the other side and break through our own little roadblocks, if you will, our own detours. But that's the thing. If you hit a detour, you don't just sit there. I say this all the time in coaching, you know that. You hit a detour, you're not going to sit there and turn off the car and wait for them to move the barriers. You're going to find a different way. Give yourself that same grace to figure out your special sauce, what really works for you.
Yeah.
That's going to help you definitely achieve more.
Yeah. I'll share this. There was a game changer for me, and for clients that I've shared this with, it has been a game changer for them as well. You do have to think about, who do you need to become in order to achieve the things that you say you want to achieve? Who do you need to be showing up as now to make that happen? Because it's not the case with goals, and I think this has often been taught wrong in the personal development world. It's not the case with goals that you get to the thing and suddenly the switch clicks and you are now this thing. You have to be that now. You have to be showing up as the person you need to be showing up as in your own life now. Not perfectly. It's not going to be perfect, but it needs to be that you're doing that and becoming consistent with it.
Yeah.
For you to actually make progress here. Like, these targets, goals are targets that we're aiming for. You may hit it, and you may hit it by the time you say you want to hit it by, or you may not. But have you failed? If you don't, it's not a pass fail. It's maybe you got close to it. Maybe you're actually somewhere on the target board, but not really in the bullseye where you want to be. Or maybe you exceeded your goals, but you're going to be somewhere, and you're still, even if you don't get it, you're going to be closer to the outcomes you want than you would be if you didn't have these things in your life. So don't even look at it as a pass fail.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the direction that you want to move in. And if you have too many targets that you're aiming for, you're not going to hit one of them. So you do want to limit yourself and the amount of targets that you're actually aiming towards.
But it's so funny because as you were saying all of that, it brought me back to, I used to play some serious softball. I'm a lefty. I throw left.
I would not want to go up against you in softball, Angie. That would scare me.
But I was a pitcher. I either pitched or I was first base because I was a lefty anyway. And the interesting thing was that what I got to know about myself, along with my coach, by the way, when I was really young. And I don't know, I played softball from 12 years old up until about 35, 34, something like that. A long time. Pitching, that's me. But I learned very young that I have this natural twist when I release the ball that would bring, no matter what I tried with my hand to navigate and manipulate my hand, that I was still throwing the ball in this same way. I have this like inner spin that I just didn't know how to undo. And my coach tried, and he was like, I don't know what to tell you. And then one day, what I did was I moved over on the pitcher's mound. I moved to the left a little bit. And guess what? All of a sudden, the spin didn't matter. The spin was strike after strike. And it wasn't the thing that I thought. I had to keep trying, right? I wasn't going to stop playing because I couldn't pitch great. I was a good pitcher. I just had this twist, and I didn't know how to stop doing it. I'm holding my hand going, stop it. What are you doing? I have no control. So instead of trying to fix the hand, I just moved a little bit left. And now that natural twist that I had was right in alignment, right where it should be most of the time, which is what a good pitcher did. So right here I was trying to fix something that really wasn't broke. It was natural, and I had to embrace it. So I know that's a crazy story, but that's what I thought about when you said that, because that was one of the times in my life where I could identify the natural challenge. I tried to change it. I had no luck. So then what did I have to do? I had to shift the whole body so that the wrist and the hand movement made sense and brought me to the goal, which was strike.
Yeah.
It's a crazy story, but
you could only have figured that out by being in the game, by continuing on with it. And that's same for all of us as well. As like, many people will wait until everything is perfect, all the stars are aligned before taking action and going for it, before moving stuff out from being that sort of conceptual stage in the mind to being more of a manifest reality. I'm always reluctant to use that word because of much shit around manifestation, but you get what I mean. It's like manifest reality just being in something that's in the real world. And I see this all the time with people of when I work with people on creating actions that are going to start moving forward, that we want strategies, we want actions that are going to move forward these goals towards these targets that we have for ourselves. You can tell pretty quick the people who are going to see results sooner than the others. And to me, are the ones who are working both the inner and the outer game. So they're
Mm-hmm.
working on themselves, but they're also working on making something happen in the world around them. And I think when you have a good plan of making sure that you look after the inner game that's going on for you, the
Sure.
mindset and everything else, your health, your well-being, your energy, that's all stuff that's really important and supports everything else that's going to be going on. You have to have it. And you have to have stuff that's taking action in the real world. I see way too many people, and I do call this out when I see it, who just have the internal stuff going on. That's their action steps. It's all stuff I'm
Yeah.
going to work on with myself. I'm going to spend some time to think about this. And as well, we need something that takes you out of thinking and into practical action, because that is where you're going to see results. My favorite, I often will be asked what my top favorite quote is. And it is from Lao Tzu, who was a teacher to Confucius, that to know
Yes.
and not to do is to not truly know. So you
Mm-hmm.
can know something in your head, but unless you actually do something with it, you're not really going to know. It's conceptual knowledge. It's not
Yeah.
practical knowledge. And there's a big difference between the two. You can figure things out when you're in action. You can't figure them out just all together in your head. You will never get to that point. You have to put the stuff into action and do something with it. And then our ability to be adaptable and flexible and all the good things that get us past any obstacles or problems that come up will come into play. But our brains are just not capable of figuring all those things out before we take any action.
How do you learn? Through experience. I can learn anything in a tech. Think about a surgeon, right? Oh, top of the class. I graduated top of the class, but I've only done one of these great in-depth brain surgeries, Miss Angie. Really? And then I get somebody who was maybe graduated middle of the class, weren't the best, weren't the worst, but they've done 1,000 of them. Where do you think I'm going? I'm going to the 1,000 guy because he's got the experience. What could happen? What did happen? Just knows how to do things in the moment, like all day long. Think about it. So, yeah. And you have to give yourself, again, that grace to do it.
I've often used the example of if you need a specific business advice, do you go to the college professor he's been teaching business for decades but never actually had any practical business experience, or do you ideally go to, giving this away, but do you go to the person who's been in business and has lived it and put all the stuff into action that the professor probably only has a conceptual knowledge of? Maybe ideally go to both, get a bit of both, but more than anything else, you want the practical knowledge. You want to see what things look like in action, and to speak with somebody who isn't just in the conceptuality of things or the knowing data and information, but someone who knows what happens in business and what you need to be doing to make that happen.
Yep, I agree. It's tough today.
Where do you stand? This might be a sort of closing off thing. Where do you stand on rewarding yourself for goals? Do you think that's important?
I think for me, let me start with me. For me, the reward is the achievement. It's hitting the goal, right? I did it. I worked at it. I fell, I lip skidded, but I hit it. I did it. There's a great value in that. I have to be honest, and I'm sure there's some psychiatrists and psychologists out there with really pretty letters at the end of their last name that are going to go, you're wrong. I'm just going to say that in my personal experience and my experience as a coach, the reward system stops working when you're 5. Do you need to have a reward for everything that you set out to do as an adult professional? So I don't really know. I'm not really a fan, obviously. Trying to say that graciously, but I'm not like, oh, maybe if you lose 25 pounds and you want to go buy a new wardrobe, go for it, right? That's great, but it's not just a reward. It's probably a necessity. You lost 25 pounds. Go do it. Go buy the new clothes you need.
I have mixed feelings about it. I've certainly used been in coaching programs where rewards have been encouraged and get people to create and take rewards for themselves. And part of that is because there are some people who just don't. They don't really do anything for themselves. They don't even think they don't spend any time to play and have fun.
Sure.
And I think
Yeah.
just in terms of if it just helps some people have a bit more balance, then it's a good thing for that. I'm unsure about how effective it is in terms of personal entrainment, as given we're not dogs, although some of our psychology may work in similar ways, but we don't just say, oh, good boy, good girl, here's your treat, because you did the trick. Yeah, exactly. That, I think there's a limit. You're right. There's a limit to how much that stuff really works. One of the things that I have used, and you're welcome to take it or leave it if you find it helpful or not, but for some of my clients who felt that they needed something more with their goals, can be to tie in some of your service and contribution goals. This is particularly for professional goals that you may have, financial goals that you may want to hit, to tie in some of your service and contribution goals to those, that because it's a reward to yourself as well, to be able to maybe make a donation to an organization that you want to support, or to be able to sponsor somebody, or to do a good thing for your community or whatever else, that you create service and contribution goals and link them to your own goals, because you're going to be turning up your accountability massively, because the goals, the outcomes of your goals are no longer just about you getting what you want. Is also that other people are going to get something that's going to be really valuable to them as well. Your goals suddenly become about much more than you. They become about being able to help others and being in those positions. So I think if you don't have service and contribution goals currently linked to more specifically to your professional goals, have a think about doing that, because I think it could be a great way to turn up the urgency and accountability for what you want to be, to have and create in your professional life.
Yeah, I still want to be really clear. I want to clarify something. I think that's great. I think paying things forward or giving back, contributing is just something that I think I do anyway. There's things that I just do personally, sometimes it's about doing things pro bono. Sometimes it's about tying an outcome to it. So I'm all about that. But I also want to make sure I'm clear. Like, I believe that we need to celebrate our accomplishments.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if reward is the word that I use, but I do think that we can't achieve any milestone to get to the bigger piece without celebrating it, because it's important. We are working, we are accomplishing, we're doing something. And I think that's very individual. I think how we do it is really what I was saying. I don't respond well to, oh, I lost 25 pounds, I'm going to have a piece of chocolate. No, it's counterproductive. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
But still celebrating them and giving yourself that positive reinforcement, like, I really can do this. It really is working. This is exciting. I still get excited about goals after all these years, and I know you do too. So you can't just overlook and bypass. Otherwise, there's no sense in having them. Otherwise, there's no dopamine. So we definitely need to make sure that we do, to some degree or some level, celebrate the milestones for sure.
I know talking about burnout is one of your specialized areas.
It's
and
my
I do think
big.
I do think we are still very much in a culture where it's all about hustle and grind. And everyone thinks that's what you have to do all the time. But it does ultimately, if that's all you do, it will lead you to burnout. There's no two ways about it. That's the road that you're on. If you don't know how to play and celebrate and have fun in your own life, or if that's just not something that you feel guilty about it, that famous entrepreneurial guilt that people often talk about, because it's not work, it's not moving, not advancing, not moving the needle on my professional life, whatever else, start giving yourself a break. Now, Brené Brown talks about this exceptionally well in her content about becoming more wholehearted. Like, the whole thing she saw about these people she was describing as wholehearted was that they knew how to play. And the lesson that she took away from that was that she needed some play in her life for herself, with her family, for the connection time. That piece, that balance piece was really missing for her. And I think if you want to tie celebrations, rewards, whatever else to your goals in that respect, that's a healthy thing. It's going to help you have a much better life balance and stay off that hustle and grind train. It's like, there are times for hustle and grind, but it has to be in balance, for whatever balance looks like for you, with those other aspects of your life as well.
Oh, no, absolutely. If you're grinding all day, every day, you are going to hate what you do and everybody around you. That is a true outcome. You're going to be like, I don't even want to see these people. I don't care about the kids, the dog, the spouse. I don't care about my food. I don't care about anything. I'm too tired to even think about all of that. So I won't get into that. But yes, you're right.
And
There
chat with us.
is-
We'll have fun with you. We'll play.
Yeah, we need to be playful. That's one of my intentions this year is to be more intentionally play, like just because that's who I am naturally, right? So to just take off the hat and just be who I am and be a little silly and playful because I feel good when I do that.
Is that your
Silly.
word for this year? Playful?
It might be. It might be. Playful is a great word for me. I was doing some things when I was hanging out with my daughter recently, and she literally rolled her eyes at me going, like, how old are you? I'm like, who cares? I still, right? My brain doesn't realize how old my body is. It doesn't really care. So yeah, so silly and playful is definitely going to lead to more smiles by the end of the year for sure.
I love that. Yeah, I think play is at least a great intention to have in
Mhm.
there, play and balance and fun. And I certainly have that on. Yeah, my word for this year, and I think I see a lot of people doing this. I think I have a word for this year. My word for this year is, oh gosh, I really haven't thought about this. Energy. I'm focused on energy.
Okay.
So it
And
could
I
be
love
my word
talking
for the
about
year.
energy. I love energy because it's all the things, right? So that's great.
Hey, look, let us know what your word for the year is, if that's inspired you to think of one, or what your goals you're setting for the year. We'd
Yeah,
love to hear them. And any takeaways you may have had from the session, or anything we haven't talked about that maybe you think, oh, I think this is important for goal setting. We'd love to hear from you as well. In no way do we think we have all the answers to everything. You're just getting what 50 years worth of plus of coaching experience from the two of us.
for sure.
And counting indeed. But it's been a fun episode. I think this has been a great way to start the year. And after holidays and bugs that have been going around and all of this, we finally got around to being able to do this again. And we've got much more ahead, and maybe even some guests coming up for you. So that's going to be a little different for us. But certainly the people we're going to bring you are going to be amazing value for you too. So start looking out for those episodes coming up. And who knows what other news we'll have for you. But we'll be back again next week. You can expect more regular shows from us again now the holidays are over. And we're happy to see you back with us as well. We will look forward to seeing you on the next show. I do go check out any of the links that you want to from how to contact us in the show notes. You can also leave us a voice message. Go to speakpipe.com/the coaching clinic podcast. You can leave us a voicemail there. It's free to do. We'll probably feature you on the show if you do it. And we'd love to hear from you. Or leave us a message on LinkedIn or send us an email. We've already been hearing from some people who would like to come and be on the show. We're looking at some new features. Lots of things coming up this year. It's going to be exciting.
Very exciting.
So we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye for now.